How's it going, everyone? We've got one of our longer episodes this week, so I'm going to try to keep this intro short and sweet. Today on the show, we are interviewing artist, musician, and director of Blood Lake, Tim Boggs. We had a great conversation, and Tim's story is truly inspirational. We talk about how Tim went from making a silly little movie down in Oklahoma to now getting gigs in Hollywood in some of the biggest productions around right now. Tim's story is truly inspirational, and this is an episode you'll want to listen to the entire way through. Whether you're a filmmaker or any sort of creative medium, or just wanting to find direction in your life, Tim will lay out how to not only achieve your dreams and reach your goals, but how to completely surpass them and live a happier life. We were hoping to have full video for you guys this week, but for some reason the video track was super glitchy when we were recording. So instead I've spliced in some of Tim's amazing artwork that he's been doing. You can check out these and even more of his phenomenal artwork at zenartistla.com. Without further ado, enjoy this week's show and don't forget to subscribe to my channel where I post new videos every single week. Give this video a thumbs up and share this video with a friend. Take care, guys, and enjoy the episode. We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you a special presentation of
Two Nerds, a podcast. Your home for everything movies, music, video games, and everything in between. With your hosts, Bunny the Bruiser, and Dynamite Jared Latching.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Two Nerds, a Podcast. I'm Buddy the Bruiser.
And I'm Dynamite Jared.
And Jared, 30 years ago, a certain film came out that changed the way people saw water skiing forever.
That's true, buddy. Recently we reviewed a little film called Blood Lake on our Lost on VHS series. And today we have the director, Tim Boggs, with us here today.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm still fascinated why there's still interest in that silly little movie that we made 30 years ago.
Yeah. Well, besides that, now you're working on post-production sound, and you've been in some pretty big stuff like Legion, The Sopranos, Breaking Bad.
I think it's pretty ironic that the director of the movie Blood Lake, a movie that has numerous sound issues, is now doing sound for...
He made it his life goal.
Yeah, I had to make up for it. Well, if you understand what we did, what Doug Barry, the producer, writer, producer, lead actor, and I did to just get anything done. I mean, we had no money. We had no crew. It was just, people describe it as, an elaborate home movie. Yeah, kind of.
And then we described it as a family vacation with heavy metal dubbed over it.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. I mean, it's funny. I don't know if you've heard how it came into being, how we, even, started this whole little venture.
No, we haven't.
I've heard nothing.
We were gonna ask. Well, let's start even before that. What got you into filmmaking to begin with?
The love of film, storytelling. It's really funny because going back even before that, in high school, I didn't think about being a filmmaker. I wanted to write and record music. And it's tough when you're not really a musician. You don't have the skills to play an instrument, and you feel like, may I cuss?
Oh, absolutely, cuss away.
Yeah.
I didn't think. I couldn't sing worth shit. Is how I couldn't play an instrument. Couldn't sing worth shit. But I still had these dreams of writing music because I have stuff in my head and poetry and all of that. And so I had to kind of wean myself of that dream. And in college, I got into art school fairly early on. It wasn't. I went. When I started university at the University of Oklahoma, I was originally in their I wanted to be a sound mixer because that's what I had started doing. And if I couldn't play, I wanted to do sound. And probably my very favorite album at that time was Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. And so if you're familiar with Dark Side of the Moon, it is this epic soundscape. It's music, but it's more than music and great poetry. It's also sound effects. And if you listen to it, it's visual. And I found myself, through high school and college, really gravitating towards music that had stories, that I could close my eyes and visualize. And so that was sort of the natural progression towards, I'd start having all these visual images. And, I was an artist in high school. And so it started, okay, I have all these, visual ideas. And then I have these story ideas. And then there's the sound. Well, that's filmmaking. It took a while to kind of piece the things together, to put it all together. But once I was at OU in the art department and meeting with friends and kind of getting in with people who were making little films and stuff like that, I went, oh, this is maybe more, where I'm aligned, where I actually have the skills to do it. And so I started taking video classes and film classes and making little shitty short films, because again, you don't have any money. And so you take advantage of the resources that you do have. And that was at the beginning of video. And it started off, we had these little open reel. If you can imagine this, you guys are young compared to me. And, we're beyond, the tape format now. We're in the digital format, we're in the digital. But back then, there wasn't even VHS or beta. It started off with open reel, half-inch video. And we had these portable reel-to-reel video machines that we would go out with these great big bulky cameras and go out and try to shoot stuff, and it was all real fuzzy. But you used what you had. And so we, in art school, you could get away with anything, because they were...
Oh, I know.
Art school, they were teaching non-narrative filmmaking. They were anti-Hollywood, and it was just like drummed into me. It's not about telling a Hollywood story, it's about making art. And so do more with less, do it visually, do things that have symbols and, meanings. And so as I progressed through art school and then went beyond that, and, I graduated, I wanted to kind of get into doing this full time, but I put my resume out, at TV stations and ad agencies, and since I wasn't in the journalism or the English department filmmaking, which was more structured and that's what they were looking for, something more structured. Mine was a little bit more artistic, a little more out there. And so I didn't get a job doing that. So I fumbled around for a few years. I worked at a little software company making these little digital programs, educational programs. And again, playing with sound there, and it was a means to an end, But eventually I kept aiming towards doing video, and I would, I remember I went to graduate school just so I could use the equipment.
I did the same. Did the same thing.
Making these little projects, and again, they weren't that ambitious. It was just keep learning, and I would volunteer on other people's shoots and stuff like that. And eventually, I started working at a place in Oklahoma City called Ford Audio Video. And I got a job as a salesman. I was selling the equipment. I wasn't using the equipment, I was selling the equipment. But I still rationalized, even if I'm around it, I can learn about it. I can keep educating myself. In Oklahoma, there's not there weren't that many opportunities to do what I really wanted to do. But I knew I needed to, if I wanted to do that, if I wanted to make films, if I wanted to tell stories in that way, that I had to just grab onto anything that I could. Whatever opportunities came, you just say yes, and you do it. And I was a shitty salesman. I was too damn honest. Oh no, that won't work for you. You just I was terrible at it, but I still did my best as far as learning about the equipment, and I was writing and had all these ideas. And I remember one day this other young guy came in looking at equipment, and his name was Doug Barry, and he said, "I want to do a horror movie." And I said, "Wow." I said, because I've always wanted to get into filmmaking too. And we just clicked. He told me about this story he was writing, and he goes, if I'm able to do this, because he came into this and just looking at how much it would cost to rent equipment so we could do this project. And so, but anyway, he told me he had this story that he was writing, so it was so self-contained that it would be the easiest, cheapest thing to do, and he could use his friends as the actors, because he didn't know any actors. He was the only actor that he knew. He'd done a few things, and he was writing it for himself, to be the lead. But he didn't have a director. He didn't really know that much about the technical side of filmmaking, and I knew about this much, but it was more than he knew.
Yeah.
And so like I said, we just hit it off, and I ended up quitting my job there to go shoot that film. And we ended up, he finished the script, and it's like all the names of the characters are names of his friends. They're not the same names of the actors that are in it, but they are friends or family or people he knew, and the personalities were based on those people.
Yeah.
And the story about how we got the lake house there at Cedar Lake, well, that was, what's her name, Angela, who was Angela's, the lead actress's, that was her family's little lake house. So we hired our lead actress because she had a lake house. And what's interesting is she actually turned out to be one of the more decent actors in the thing, that I could actually work with her. And I went into it, we couldn't afford to shoot it on film, and so I was used to shooting on 3/4 inch video, and it was like, well, shit, we're not going to get this released in the theater anyway. Why don't we just shoot it on video and then go directly to video? And, this was at the beginning of the VHS market. Why not just do that? We didn't have these illusions of grandeur. We didn't think of it as something that, wow, this is going to be so great and we're going to be so rich and famous. No, we just wanted to do something to just make a movie and get it released, just as, the first step in anything.
We know all about that.
and so, we prep. It was summertime, and we had the lake house. We were getting the friends and even some people that Doug didn't know very well, but it was like, okay, they can act, we can work around this and that, and then getting all the schedules together, and it got into August, and school was going to start, and we had these kids that we had to get things done, and so it just rapidly kind of focused into this point of, okay, this period, this week, this 10 days, go there on a Friday and shoot through that week, through the following weekend, and that's the amount of time we had. And then right before we started, if I remember right, the parents of the kids got cold feet. Oh, we don't know if we want our kids to go out and live in this house with you guys and blah, blah, all that. And, I had to be, as the director, I had to be the real adult and go, look, I'm married, I have kids, I'm going to watch over them, I will make sure that they're safe and everything. You please trust me. Just, I will guarantee their safety and everything. And for the most part, that worked. But the mom still came out to just kind of chaperone and supervise the first few days, which on the surface, the initial thought was, oh shit, we got the parents coming in, all that. But they actually, I really liked them there because, they would cook lunch and dinner and clean up after us, and they actually contributed. The hard part was that this was the end of summer, and the rest of Doug's family and all the other friends and stuff was like, oh, Doug's going out to shoot a movie at a lake house. Let's all go and party. And so we started getting all these people coming in who had nothing to do with the film. They just wanted to show up, and it was just going to be a party, and it's like, God, we got to work. And so there were so many distractions, and it was just turning into chaos there in the first few days. We were barely getting anything shot, and the clock was ticking. We only had so much time. And so I finally put my foot down and said, they've all got to leave. All of them. Parents, moms, if we're going to do this, we've got to get rid of everybody. And so we did. And at that point, all the actors and I and Doug, it just kind of bonded us. And, we couldn't afford a crew. So the actors became the crew. And again, it was just this whole team thing of, I need this light moved here, I need this done here. The sound was a shotgun mic on a mic stand. I have a mic stand over here I was just looking at. But, it was like mounted, pointed at the people, and I would shoot, and we would just, do these setups as easily as possible. Okay, now the other thing is I'm working with a bunch of novices, a bunch of young people who had never acted. I only had one person other than Doug who had actually acted before. And so it became this thing where, if you notice the beginning, it's like when they get to the house, to the lake house, how stiff all the dialogue is and the acting is, and even my direction is. It's so bad. But it was because none of us had done this before. And it took a few days for me to realize, look, don't worry about the script. Let's get the essence of it. Just be yourselves and play this out. And that's when I think, if there's any magic in the show at all, if there's any,
we know what you're going to say.
If that came out of just everybody starting to become themselves and just loosening up. And so it was just kind of encouraging that. And then when I felt like I had enough stuff, move on. Good. Move on. And we just worked and worked and worked. It was for me, it was an extraordinary experience because I was having I had the dream of making a movie, but I didn't know if I could do it. You don't know until you try. And what I found was, by the end, I was working 20-hour days at minimum. I mean, I would get, a couple hours sleep here and there, and I would just get enough shut-eye, just enough that I could then get up and go, okay, I got to prepare the next thing. And I loved it. It didn't matter that I was tired and that, I felt like, all of this is really crap, but I was having so much fun, and we were doing something. I still didn't know if we had anything. I still don't. But I knew what I took away from it was this is something I really like, and I now know I can do it. I would like to do it with a bigger budget, or whatever. But it was one of those things where I felt like I had it in me what it took to go out and chase the dream. But again, going back to some of those scenes and everything, it was fly by the seat of your pants. It was, things, the ambitions that you have, the ideas that you want to incorporate. Sometimes they just don't work out. I had there was these ducks that were on the lake. So much footage of these damn ducks, and I wanted to incorporate the ducks in this show. That every time there was a murder, it was going to be wah, 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 wah. It was going to be this real creepy thing, and just kind of have the ducks as this motif of every time you see the ducks, you knew something bad was going to happen, right? So I started shooting ducks, but we were in August, and then we did our 10 days, and then we had to keep coming back for we had to keep coming back on the weekends to pick up stuff.
Yeah.
By the time we got into September and then October, the ducks were gone. I mean, they flew south for the winter or whatever. And I was like, no, I need the ducks. Where are the ducks? And so it was like, okay, you're with that idea. So you just, you have these ideas and these ambitions of what you'd like, and then you go, oh, fuck. It's over. And then by the end, it was, I had no, I had no confidence that we had a great film. In fact, going into it, I knew it was going to be a shitty film. I mean, I felt like I don't know how we could make a great film with the resources we had and all of that, and even with the script. It was just, let's do it and get it done, and maybe we'll have something that 11-year-olds will enjoy. So that became my focus. The market was 11-year-old boys who don't know any better. And for the most part, I think I succeeded. I think 11-year-olds will probably dig it, but more sophisticated audience obviously would not. But I thought, okay, if we are able to get this thing together, the film's going to be shit. It better have a dynamite cover. And so that's where
that's what sells it.
That's the 80s way of thinking, I think.
So that's where my design work came in was, okay, let's put Tiny Fraser, on the dock with, with the knife. And then Doug had this great idea of let's put a dead woman, and the blood and everything. And so we went to do this photo shoot. This was after we'd finished shooting the movie. And he found this photographer. And it was like, we went to this photo studio, and the photographer was a porn photographer. And so he was used to shooting nudes, and he had all these photos of all these nudes, and it was like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I'm in the wrong profession. He was a big fat kind of not very attractive guy, and but he had all these pictures of all these beautiful women. I just remember that. It was kind of like, oh, all right. And so he had this beautiful model, and we did the shoot and all of that. And then we took it to an ad agency, and I just thought they killed it. Yeah, I mean, in a good way. They knocked it out of the park with that background, And so it's like, wow, we actually have a really good cover. So too bad the film is kind of sucky. But the last thing I'll say is, it won't be the last thing I'll say, but on this train of thought, when we edited, I really wanted to tighten the movie, and Doug was just adamant about, God, we got to get it to 80 minutes or 82 minutes. There's this minimum for it to be a feature. So so I would want to cut, I would cut scenes of this, and he'd go, no. And so it was like there would just be, I would just cringe at something. It's like there's a shot of the car going, cut. I would say cut, and then it's like,
it's still going.
It's like, no. It hurts. You go as the photographer. You want it to be clean and then cut, and it was like, no, we need more time. So take it past, and then the camera starts to jiggle or whatever, and it's like, okay, Doug, it's your movie. You're paying for it.
Yeah.
That's, kind of how the thing went. So we got it edited. I got a copy of it, took it home, and watched it with my wife. And we watched it, and when it was over, I said, I never want to see this again. And it took 20 years before I watched it again. 20 years.
So how many times have you watched it total in your life? Just those two, or have you watched it a few times since then?
It was. I want to say it was about 5 years ago when this this phenomena of people becoming interested in it started. And within a 3-month period, I had a guy write to me and say, I'm writing a book. And I love Blood Lake. I'm writing a book on shot on video stuff. It was this, SOV craze, which I had no idea. I didn't know what SOV meant. I didn't know any, it was just over my head. I had no idea that there was this interest in that. And so he's going, I really want to interview you for this book and blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And I just thought it was a one-off. It was like, just one guy. And then 3 months later, I get a call from another guy going, I'm doing a documentary on SOVs, and I want to interview and record you. I mean, it was, and then I started getting emails and all this interest, and it was like, oh, why? my ideas of what a great film is. I really love great Hollywood films. Great classic films, and Blood Lake just didn't really meet the standard of that.
It's no Casablanca.
And I've got to go to this real quick. I used to, when IMDb, the Internet Movie Database, came out, and suddenly, oh wow, I'm in the Internet Movie Database. With all my credits of TV shows and movies and stuff, and then I remember going, I just wonder. And I looked up Blood Lake. And there it is. That's right. There it is. Okay? Blood Lake. Oh, wow. Look at that. Director Tim Bogg. Writer Doug Barry. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. User reviews. About this. Okay. I'm talking about years ago when I first started doing this. But I'm going to read you just the headlines of the ones that are in there now, okay? First one up. One of the worst slashers out there, and this ain't a hard genre to succeed in.
Oh.
Worst slasher film ever. Amateurish SOV slasher junk. Total waste of time. One of the most boring slasher films of all time. The cleanest word to describe this movie: fecal.
I haven't seen that one.
No.
Warning: this movie contains scenes of explicit redundancy.
Wow.
The worst slasher films movie ever. Very good home movie project. All right.
There you go.
Trash, followed by trash. No tits, several slits, multiple hicks, and Jed. Okay? Not spooky, not icky, but horrorable. Okay? Sorry. I just lost my place. So, keep repeating. It's not even a movie. Why is this? It just keeps jumping out of that. Sorry. Disturbingly bad. Worst movie ever.
They've obviously never seen Spy.
Oh, man.
I've ever seen. Barely tolerable. Not as bad as people say.
There you go.
Oh! Click on that. And what's funny is then you get it's like 95% of the people hate it. But then you get this like 5% that go, no, this is really cool. And I'm going, no, I agree with the other guys. What? I don't get it.
Yeah.
I would read those reviews. I mean, like I said, from the beginning, I would read these just rants and people just trashing it and creatively trashing it. And I would just howl in laughter. I mean, it didn't bother me because I agreed with them. I was like, yeah, it's a piece of shit. But wow, boy, that really struck a nerve. Maybe I am having some impact here. It's not quite what I had in mind, but artists they want to make you feel something. And sometimes it may not be what they intended, but as long as they made you react or, have some sort of feeling, especially a strong feeling, then we succeeded. So, I can never regret it. I learned a
Yeah.
lot, and I had fun in the process, but I still can't help but think, yeah, it was kind of a, you know, it, it's not what I would have liked to have done, and I would still, at some point in my life, in my career, do something a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But I got off, and it did help me move out here to California and get into the industry and have the confidence to to make my way, to navigate the Hollywood entertainment industry ocean. It's because it's hard. It can be really hard for people out here,
Yeah.
and unless you really believe in yourself, and unless you really love the process, it's gonna chew you up and spit you out. And
Yeah.
a lot of people can't handle the pressure, or the rejection, the whatever. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I've done some really good projects and with some amazing people. And I had a conversation with a friend earlier today. I was actually at a Hollywood party last night, and it was on Sunset Boulevard, on the Strip. Beautiful, beautiful bar, club, incredible views of Los Angeles and Hollywood and everything. And I'm still like a kid from Oklahoma. I'm still kid from small town Oklahoma. And I remember just enjoying all of it. I was with actors, directors, composers, editors. It was just a really cool thing. The kind of thing that if you're not in the industry, you dream about being in that kind of thing. Like I said, amazing views.
Yeah.
And I had a great time, and I remember I was on my way home, and I'm driving down the Strip, and there's Stranger Things too, and this and all of that, and I'm going, how the fuck did I get here? I'm still fascinated by it all. It's still
Yeah.
it still means something to me. I'm still like, pinch me that I've actually had this body of work, that I've worked with all these people, and then all the other stuff, like my artwork that you see behind me, and the music that I'm now doing, which I'm in front of my keyboard here. I've been composing, and I'm a songwriter, and it's just, to me, it's I just love creating. I still write. I still have ambitions of directing a movie or two of things that I write. But it's you kind of take life as it comes. It's hard to force things, and so I've been really grateful for the opportunities I've had, and it's a fun ride, and I feel like I did it without compromising my kids. I didn't become so overly ambitious that I screwed up my kids, and that's probably the most important thing. I always said my greatest productions was my two boys. That's my greatest production. Nothing will ever top that. Everything else is kind of gravy. So, second question.
Go ahead.
Just a couple things that I caught there. One thing that struck me right away was when you were talking about the editing process and shots going on too long in Blood Lake, and there's the one scene where they're all
at the
talking.
table, at the table.
They're all talking, and then they all decide they're going to go to bed. And so they
Oh,
all
the dinner.
line up, and they all walk upstairs, and the shot just goes, and they just until they're all completely gone. It's just this long, dragged out thing.
I don't think I put myself as the editor on the show.
No, you were not credited as an editor. I looked at the IMDb.
One of the best things about Blood Lake, and you're talking about composing music and stuff now, one of the best things in it is the music from the band Voyager. Which we lucked into. Doug lucked into finding this guy and this band, and yeah, it was that was pretty cool. And then Alan Russell David, what was his name? The composer who did all the poly synthesizer stuff. Yeah, I thought he was a great find too. And again, none of us got paid. None of us made a cent off this thing, and so everybody was just doing it for let's do a movie. I can compose for a movie. Oh, I can do a song for a movie. I think if the one thing I can say about it, everybody's intentions were pure. That we all were very innocent of it all, very ignorant of how to make a movie. And there was a purity in that everybody's intentions were genuine. They wanted to contribute. They wanted to be a part of it. They wanted, we all just jumped in and didn't know how to do things, so we figured it out as we went along. I learned a tremendous amount, and it's funny if how thereafter, like in the 90s, the whole shaky cam thing kind of came into vogue. Look at Blood Lake. I may have been the first. You're a pioneer.
I was a pioneer, but I was a pioneer because I don't have time to put it on a tripod. Here's the shot. Just shoot it. Oh, it was, I don't know that if I had any intentions, they got tossed out. Everything else was just by random, luck.
I think that the pure intentions thing and just the whole we didn't know how to do this, but we all contributed and did that. I think that's part of the appeal and kind of the SOV thing. It's part of what everyone likes. Is it's amateurish and it's not your big Hollywood production or whatever, but you can just tell in a lot of these movies that it's just a bunch of guys, they got together and they had a great time and they made a fucking movie, and it somehow got out there and people see it,
Yeah. No, and it did find an audience. I mean, I'm still amazed. After when I moved out, moved my wife and my two boys and a dog in a Chrysler Cordova, and traveled from Norman, Oklahoma to Los Angeles back in, what was it, September, October of 1990. Okay, so this is shortly after, Blood Lake.
Yeah.
And I struggled for a year or so, trying to get work. I did production assistant work. I did, freelance camera work. I did whatever I could do just to try to get in. And my big break in sound came when my wife found an ad in the Sunday Times under engineering, of all places. In engineering, I would have never thought to look in engineering for anything that I did. But she saw this ad and she goes, "Tim, this sounds like you. Sound engineer needs computer experience, sound experience, blah, 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 blah." And it's like, okay, yeah. So Monday, I called the number, and it was a headhunter in Atlanta, Georgia. And I got through for a minute, and then we got cut off, and I ended up calling back and getting through to her, and she goes, "Oh yeah, you're lucky to get through. The phone's ringing off the hook. Just send me your resume and blah 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 blah." And so I did, and faxed it out, which we don't fax anymore.
No.
And so, but I sent her this resume, and so that was, Monday, and then by Tuesday I'd probably just completely forgotten about it, because you're looking for work,
Yeah.
and you when you've had so much rejection, you start to expect the rejection, but you still have to keep trudging. You got to keep doing it, just keep at it. And so I remember on Wednesday I was really depressed that day, and I remember like at 1 p.m, the depression of not having work and wondering how we're going to, be able to make ends meet. How, this was like in February, I want to say, of '92. How are we going to make the rent and all of this stuff? My wife was working, but it takes two incomes, especially back then, and when you're not making a whole lot of money, to survive out here. And when you got 2 kids, and it's it can get scary. And I remember I got so depressed, I went and laid down on my bed, and I went, "The fuck am I gonna do?" And the voice in my head, something just yelled, "Get up! Get up! Get up!" And I was like, "Okay, getting up." Just something in my head just said, "Get up." Okay, it's like, you will not be defeated. This will not, fuck your depression, fuck being, any of the rejection. Get to work. Get back on the phones. Get on the computer. Start looking stuff up. Look in the phone. Just keep working. Do it. Do not give up, you fuck. It was just this voice in my head, like just reaming me.
Very
Okay,
very verbally abusive to you.
Right. Like Id was really working overtime there. Okay. So I get up and I get back and I start working, and 30 minutes later, I kid you not, 30 minutes later, the phone rings. "Hello? Is this Tim Bogg?" "Yes." "This is blah, 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 the woman in Atlanta, Georgia. Tim, we had over 500 applicants for that sound job, and you are our number 1 candidate." "What?" "You're our number 1 candidate. Your resume is everything that we're looking for." So, and she gave me all these steps that I needed to do. And so I, got everything together, and they set up this interview. And it was a place called Soundtracks that was in Burbank. They're no longer together, and I was only there for about a year. But I remember the interview. I got in and was in their waiting room. Okay, and it was all white walls, and it was real. I just remember this place was real clean, but there was a doorway into a hallway. We could hear it was a very deep hallway, and from the depths, it's like I was sitting there. Like I think there may have been a magazine or something there. I was waiting to be interviewed, and I'm sitting there, and suddenly I hear, "Ah!" This just blood-curdling scream coming from down the hall. And then about 30 seconds later, "Ah!" same scream. And 30 seconds later, the same scream. And I look up, and the receptionist goes, Amityville Horror 3. Cutting sound. And it was like, oh, sound effects. Okay. It was like, I hadn't put it all together. But once I got in, and I was pretty much hired on the spot, that yes, you do have the skills that we were looking for. And it was like a duck to water. I just got into sound, and I just understood it. And it really did lead to everything else that I've done. So I got there. I was cutting effects. I learned backgrounds. I learned to do Foley. It's like I just got this education in sound, and then a year later ended up working at this place called Digital Sound and Picture, which was much higher end, and that's when I started working with everybody. I started off. I was working on Tales from the Crypt, and we would record the Crypt Keeper. Oh, that was so much fun. John Castillo would come in, doing all that vocal stuff. And then soon after, getting in with doing Hercules: The Legendary Journeys, and then a year later, the Xena Warrior Princess.
Xena, yeah.
And it was the most fun work ever. For me, it was just total creativity. The producers trusted me and loved me so that I could just come up with all kinds of really zany, weird things. I would do jokes for the mix stage that would end up in the show because they loved it so much. It was just so. I felt like I'd sort of found my element, and it was also at a time when, I was still trying to write, and I still had the dreams of directing, but I was raising kids, and I had family, and it was like, this is an okay gig. I can kind of deal with this. I'm still being creative, and I'm not compromising my kids. I could still go to all the baseball practices and football practices and be there for them, and not be, well, sorry, I don't have time for you. Daddy's got to go do this. It was never. I never had to do that, and I'm proud of that. Some people would say, well, God, did you compromise your career, what you could have been? No, I'm where I need to be, because I'm still able to create all the stuff that I'm doing now. And I have great kids. I'm best friends with my boys. So, you hear all these horrible, Hollywood stories of, people who kind of fuck their kids up and have terrible relationships with them and stuff like that. Well, that's not me. And that's, again, the happiest of all. That's, to me, is still the more important thing of anything else. So, but like I said, Blood Lake and all of those ambitions, it still got me out here, and got me doing what I'm doing, and got me, working on Sopranos and Breaking Bad, and I did quite a bit of work on Entourage, and credited Entourage stuff because I had the fun job of replacing their cussing. There's this whole thing. It's TV safe. It's for the airlines and for syndicated television, and so you have to go in and replace all the fucks and the shits and the motherfucker cocksucker. Anything that's. I'm so happy I can say these words. And so, but you can be really creative, with you know, the how the replacement things. And so I've done a lot of shows, because a lot of Sopranos, a lot of my work on Sopranos. I mean, yeah, we did the stuff for the show, but then had to replace all the cussing and stuff like that. So there was a ton of work on all those shows, and I got really, really good at it. And anytime I had actors who would kind of push back, I'd say, well, come up with an idea for a word. And so we would have fun creating these words and stuff. They would go, damn, I wish I had said that on the set. That's funnier than what, that's funnier than what I originally said.
Yeah.
But again, what that did is I just got to work with all these amazing people. And that's just, it was still a thrill to me to get to work with very, very talented actors after my beginning was working with non-actors,
Yeah.
But I say, when you really want something, when you have a dream or whatever, be specific. I said, oh, if I could only just work with really great actors. So that's what I do. I work with really great actors. Now, I'm not the filmmaker. I'm not the director. I loop them. I worked with them in an audio studio, a sound studio, replacing their lines. I should have been more specific.
Yeah.
But no worries.
Yeah. But I actually watched a short interview with you that was on YouTube. It's only like a minute long. I think it was from that documentary you were talking about, they interviewed you for.
Really?
And,
I've never seen it.
Yeah, and you were addressing the negative reviews of it, and you said, well, I only have one question of you. What did you ever do with your dreams? Or something. So.
Yeah, I still say that. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to criticize, but what the fuck have you done? Have you put yourself out there? It's, I don't mind Blood Lake being trashed. I don't mind me. I don't care if I'm trashed. But it's easy to, watch stuff and just criticize and say, well, I could have done better. I could have done. Well, go out and do it. Show me. Do it. And I'm not saying that as a challenge to be a pissy, to be arrogant or anything. No, I want people to achieve, to whatever their dreams are, to do it. Don't be afraid. Fear is the biggest obstacle, and it held me back on a lot of things. It held me back from music for lots of years. But when you let go of all that shit, because it's all bullshit, go whatever it is that you really aspire, what you really want to do it. Don't wait for the perfect time or say, oh, I don't have this. Or do whatever you can. Do you have a pencil? Do you have a piece of paper? Write.
Yeah.
That's the easiest thing to start. Just sketch, Just start with whatever you can. I have a lot of different, sayings. I write all of this stuff down. I have lots and lots of things that one day I will publish. But one of my little mottos for myself is, I do the best I can with what I have to work with. Just do the best you can with what you have to work with. Whatever tools are around you, whatever abilities you have, whatever education you have, take all that and do the best you can with it. And try to just keep pushing the box, further out. Expand the box. I say we're all in a little box. This is our experience. This is our life. Just, and this is our belief system and everything. Well, just keep pushing that out and expand and do more. The only person that is, the only thing that's going to stop you guys or anybody else out there from their dreams is yourselves. I'm a perfect example. I, you know, I didn't have that many skills. I didn't when I started into art. I didn't grow up as an artist. My parents didn't encourage me to be an artist. I wore everybody down, is what I did. It was just I just would get something in my mind, and I would say, I'm just going to do it. I don't know how to do it, but I'm going to do it, and I'll be shitty at it for a while, and then after a while, I'm not quite as shitty. And then maybe I'm not shitty. And a little while later, well, that was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You just keep progressing. I relate it to we should all learn from babies, from toddlers. Toddlers have no fear. Toddlers, they crawl, but they want to get up and walk, and they struggle. They get up on their feet, and they wobble, fall down. Well, a lot of people, if that happened in their lives, are like, "Fuck, I fell down. I ain't get back up." What does a toddler do? I don't remember that. I just want to get up because there's something out there I want to get, and they get up. And then they'll fall down again, but they'll keep getting back up. Learn from babies. Let's learn from toddlers. Just keep getting back up. No matter how many times something knocks you down, just keep getting back up. And eventually you're going to stay up. And eventually after that, you're going to succeed. Because that's just the way of life. That's what we're here to do. You guys, I don't know anything about you guys. I know you got this podcast and everything, but you're doing something. That's great. I don't think this is your end, that this is your dream come true, that this is the end all of everything. You have higher aspirations. Keep going. What's the next step? Just keep doing it. There aren't that many huge risks. We can kind of make up shit to make the obstacles bigger than they really are. But if you really want something, you just have to do it. You just have to, and you don't. And I tell people, because I'm still in that same boat, because the music that I'm doing and the film aspirations and everything. I'm still going. I'm still on this journey. I may be a little ahead of some people, but I'm way behind other people. But what I realize is I don't have to know how to get there. All I have to know is what's the next step. Just keep. It's like, okay, I just got to do this. I don't have to know the hows and the whys of out here. That will present itself. That will come. Just keep, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? Just keep, what can I do now? What do I what can I do? Don't wait. I'm going to sit here and wait until things are perfect, until the money comes, until I win the lottery, till, whatever. No. Write. Or paint, or make sound stuff, or do podcasts.
Do whatever you want.
Whatever the fuck you do.
Whatever it is, and a lot of it may not even be in the direction you want to go. But sometimes you can't get there from here because that wall's here, right? You're gonna keep hitting that wall. Well, go the fuck around the wall. You may have to go over here and do some of this, and then trick it and go up. Yeah, I'm on the other side. But just keep doing shit. It's so funny, and like I say, I'm here in front of my piano. I've only been playing for 3.5 months. I got this piano in July. I bought it from a friend who was leaving town and she needed to sell it. And I went, well, I'm playing guitar now. I took a year of piano in high school, many years ago. I don't know that I need a piano, but you're making such a good deal, I'll buy the piano. And I sat down, and I don't really have I put a nice comfy chair here to do this, but I just started. I just started playing. I just.
Yeah.
And I never played like this when I was in high school. You know, it's just, we fuck ourselves up by saying we can't.
Yeah.
I just want to tell people, say you can. You may not know how. You don't have to know how at this moment. But just keep at it. And pretty soon, you're going to find yourself in front of a piano playing beautiful music and not know how the fuck you're doing it. But you're just doing it. You really want to do it. I got this piano and I immediately started composing. And I don't know what the fuck I'm doing on it, but I'm doing it. I don't have to know why. I don't have to understand. It just is happening, and you let it happen. It was the same way with the artwork. I mean, this stuff, all of this stuff back here on my walls, it was out of sheer just fucking around and discovering it. Now, this little sculpture right here, I did in college. I'm going to pull this up forward so you can see. And this is Rockstar. I don't know if you can see him, but there's actually a little mouth here with a tongue in this.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay. But I don't know if you can see how it's made up of all these little undulating forms in the clay. But you look at the artwork that I do, and it has the same motifs, it's the same patterns, the same things that I did back in high school relate to the artwork that I do now.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know how to explain it, but it just happens. Everything you've done in your life has brought you to this point, and it will just keep moving. You're heading into a direction that you may not quite understand where you're going. You have an idea where you want to go, and that's what I call the dream. You know, the dream is where you want to go. But life has a funny way of screwing with that. And so I discovered this kind of idea is that life is going to take you where you need to go, not maybe where you want to go. And it's still up to you to keep moving forward, however it is. But sometimes the tides of, life is going to push you one way or another. And so head towards the dream, but where you're going to end up is the dream beyond the dream. Beyond it. There is something out there beyond. You're being short-sighted by having this dream right here, this idea of what you want. And that what the universe wants for you, and I don't mean to get into metaphysics or spirituality or anything. I'm just saying what's real, how life happens. It's going to lead you, if you let it, and if you keep working towards things and just going, what do I really want? It's going to lead you beyond what even your dream is to something even greater beyond that. And that's what I'm finding. And it's really cool. It's a fun ride, and you will discover so much, and you will enjoy life so much more if you allow that to happen, rather than being, trying to hit your head against a wall that is just not moving. And it's not that maybe you've got the wrong dream, but maybe you just need to. You can't always just go straight towards things. Sometimes you have to make little detours. But God, those detours can be really fun, and you learn a lot from them. So that's my lesson for today.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
We got some stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, we posted in the VHS horror collectors group, and they sent us a few questions for you. I won't go into all of them because we got quite a bit of responses.
Really? How many? I'm just curious.
I think like 7-ish, but I wrote down the best ones.
He's thinking like hundreds.
He's thinking like hundreds.
7.
Yeah. 700? Really? Cool.
But, let's see.
No, I realized that Blood Lake has a cult following. It's a really small cult, but they're passionate.
Yeah.
They are passionate.
Yeah, so I'll read some of these questions, and I think we have a couple questions of our own.
Yeah.
But this one comes from Rod Lanham.
He's a mainstay in the VHS.
Is he?
I see him. He's mentioned and talked about all over the place in our little VHS cult.
But he wants to ask, and this comment got a lot of likes, and I'm sure you've probably gotten this a lot, but why isn't it on DVD?
I've had several people contact me over the last several years, about that, and I always tell them the same thing. I don't have the rights. I've never had the rights. I don't know who has the rights. It was originally, Doug. This movie cost us $6,000 to produce, and it was $6,000 back then was a lot of money, especially to a couple of guys that, he was the one who financed it. We didn't have any money, and so he ended up basically selling it for $6,000. We got his money back to United Home Video out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they're the ones who made the VHSs and got them out into the world. I've tried to do a little bit of research, but I think other people are doing more. I don't know if there is a master. It was mastered on 1-inch video. I don't know who has that, where that is. I don't know who has the rights. It's out of my control. But I've told every one of these people that if it is ever on DVD, I would be happy to participate in anything to support it, because it's just such a hoot.
Yeah.
It just is.
I'd love to hear the commentary track.
It's you got to understand, for something that I let go of the moment after I watched it for the first time. I let go of it. That was in the past. And never thought that it would find an audience, never thought anybody would see it. And then when it did get out there, and I was like, oh God, everybody hates it. Well, yeah, I understand. I'm good with that. It's fine. Sorry I've wasted so many people's precious hour and a half, or 82
minutes. Yeah.
82 minutes of their lives. There's a lot of other 82 minutes, I'm sure you've wasted in other ways. So,
Far
Fuck you.
worse shot on video movies we've watched.
I had a blast the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
Now, that was with a big group of people, and then I've since had to see it like 4 or 5 more times, so my appreciation's come down a little bit. But the first time I watched it, it was great. I had a blast with it.
Yeah, it definitely depends on like who you're. Like if you get like a group of people to watch it together, it's a good time. But like,
I think they need to invent a drinking game with it. I don't know.
There's definitely a drinking game in there somewhere.
Yeah.
I know. I will say this because I've looked at some of the IMDb reviews and I've read them and stuff. It's definitely not the worst horror movie or slasher movie of all time. It's
damn. I was hoping I was the worst.
It's not.
I wanted the distinction of having the worst.
It's not.
Right up there with Plan 9 from Outer Space in The Room.
I'm not even sure that a shot on video slasher movie is the worst of all time. I'm sure that it's some actual production
Like
that would just turn out
the Hands of Fate.
Yeah, something that just turned out really fucking boring and whatever. At least shot on video always has that kind of charm.
At least
to
Blood
it.
Lake isn't boring, because that's like the worst thing with these shot on videos.
No, it's not boring. People say it's boring, but it's not boring. It's funny.
How could you be bored with Tony's dialogue?
We'll get to Tony.
Yeah, it's so funny. I think back the making of the movie would make a great movie. The story of how it came about.
That's kind of like what they're doing with The Room right now.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll cast
the
James
same
Franco
thing.
as you.
It is the same. It is the same thing. Although we weren't as manic. I mean, Doug and I, we weren't crazy. It was just, we're just trying to make a stupid horror movie and trying to, just keep it under control and get things done. It was, but all the complications and, Tiny Frazier, we're trying to do this one night shoot on the dock where he kills this guy, and he comes out, but he's got like 104 degree temperature. He's got the flu, and it's the nights had already turned cold at that point.
He killed someone.
So,
I couldn't see it very
Yeah.
clearly.
Yeah, that stuff in the water where it's slashing the water. Well, but if you look at there's this shot where I lit it from behind, right? So it's silhouette, and I think you can see the steam rising off his head because he's got 102 degree fever. It's stuff like that. And so we sent him home, and I had to get Doug's friend Brian, who doubled everything. I was like, I got to get this shot. Brian, let me see your hands. Let me see. It's like, okay, we're just going to double you. So it's not even Tiny's hands, doing the stabbing. It's this other friend of Doug's that's doing it. So there was just a lot of stuff like that. A lot of little funny trivia things. The gardener at the beginning.
Yeah.
That didn't last very long.
She shot that last to kind of bookend the beginning, and that's why it's. We didn't shoot that we shot the last scene, the very last scene last.
The act of God.
The act of God. Yes.
Yeah, the act of God. But the first scene with the gardener that kind of sets everything up, we needed to cast that guy. And so I went, I know the perfect guy. I would love to kill my wife's ex-husband.
No way.
Tom Rembar that's my wife's ex-husband, and it's not like I want to. Tom and I have been the best of friends forever. I mean, and still are. He's like a brother. We both divorced the same woman, or got divorced by the. She left both of us. But he is, he does have the distinction of being the father of my oldest son. And so, but Tom and I, like I said, are great, and so I got him to play the gardener, and then, you know, so there's that kind of weird, funny thing. You want to hear about the act of God?
Sure.
Well,
Okay.
let's talk about the act of God. I was going to save that for the end, but
Okay, we'll save it for the end.
all right.
Okay. So we got another question. Jacob Jarvis, how did they get their mullets so mullety?
It's Oklahoma. They just
Good answer.
well, look at the coach at Oklahoma State. He's making a living out that mullet.
I guess I have a question. When was the last time you talked to any of the cast or any? Like, do you guys still keep in touch at all, like on Facebook or anything?
Andrea, we're Facebook friends, and she lives out here, but we haven't seen each other. We've kind of said, well, we ought to, but we never have. I lost complete touch with Doug for years and years. And then through one of these things where a guy was wanting to find out about how to, do get a DVD release, he actually got me in touch with Doug, and we're Facebook friends. But again, I don't know why, but none of us have actually talked. I don't know what happened to everybody else. When I left Oklahoma for California, and that was 27 years ago. Doesn't seem like that long, but yeah. I left kind of a lot of things behind, and it wasn't that I wanted to lose touch, because I still have my friends that are back there, but it just, we didn't have the internet at that time. It was harder. You had to either write a letter or pick up a landline phone, because it was before cell phones too. Yeah. And it was harder to stay in contact back then, and so that built a habit of it. Just, you got used to not being in contact, and so the divide just went further and further and further away. I would love to talk to Doug and Andrea and anybody else. I still go, it was a great experience. We unintentionally did something special. Not, like I say, not the way we intended, but it's in some weird way made its mark.
Yeah. Do you have a question about Tony?
Oh no! You gonna go through these other comments?
Well, these
aren't really questions. These are
just like review. I mean, I just put like the clip notes. Like, these are pretty. I can send you everything, but basically people are just like, I love this movie. It's ridiculous. The intro sets up the story great with very little dialogue. The atmosphere is cool because it reminds me of summers in the 80s where I grew up. The smart-ass kid definitely steals the show. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
because we finally said, okay, just be yourself, Travis. Just be yourself. and Doug was really good at feeding him lines and getting him there. I feel weird that I'm the one who people contact about all this. That I'm the one who seems to be the focus. When Doug Barry, I mean, he wrote the thing, he produced it, he acted in it, he made it all happen. Doug is the true unsung hero in this, and I think you guys should really look him up and get his take on everything.
Yeah,
it
gives us more content because we never know what to do.
I if it weren't for Doug, there would be no Blood Lake. I mean, it says a Tim Bogg film, but really it's a Doug Barry film. He was kind enough to put that up there. But I just think, Doug, he had this dream of, doing this horror movie, but he I think he is probably disappointed that he didn't come out here. That was his dream, was to come out and be an actor, but he thought he needed to produce and direct something to be kind of a showcase, and when the showcase didn't turn out as well as he would have liked, I think he got burned, and he got married right after that.
Yeah.
And his wife's name was Becky. I mean, there's, like I said, there's all. It was the lead female character was his fiance's name, and
Yeah.
So, like I said, there's so many parallels, but Doug really was the engine. I may have been the conductor in some ways, but he made it happen. And so I would feel really bad if people think that I'm the genius behind Blood Lake. no, he's to blame too. He's more to blame than I am. But he's got to take the rap as well.
Yeah.
So, one of the best parts of the movie, and as we've talked about, mentioned many times, is little Tony. And there's just a burning question out there from myself and several other fans. I'm pretty sure probably every fan in there that's seen this movie. We just got to know, did Tony succeed? Did Tony have sex in Blood Lake? At Blood Lake, whatever.
Or is it a mystery?
There's no.
Is it open for interpretation?
There's no mystery. You'll have to wait for the sequel.
Oh, that's a mystery.
No, it's no mystery. You just have to wait for the sequel.
I was watching someone else reviewed Blood Lake, and it's just a dude, and he's in a lake. And so the whole review is just him from the neck up talking, and he's talking about Tony's, like, prepubescent legs and how nice and soft they are.
What the
I was like, what am I watching? It's like some middle-aged dude in a lake talking about his kid's legs.
That's really weird. I was about to say he probably outdid our review, but
no.
That doesn't sound that way.
Yeah, little Tony is always, anytime anybody asks me about it, he's the favorite.
Yeah.
And we kind of knew. Travis, God, that was just him. He was just this cocky, mouthy little kid, and we really did. I mean, Doug and I we just would push him to these, these places. And I hope we didn't fuck up his life.
We need to track him down.
Yeah, I'm kind of frightened. To find
we'll
out.
let you know what we find, if anything.
Yeah. I guess the only other question I had, you answered it already. I was just gonna, because I consider myself a filmmaker. Jared dreams, although he's not actively pursuing it, to be in films.
I just do whatever the fuck I do with you.
Yeah. Well, I directed my own film when I was in college, so I was gonna ask what advice you have for upcoming filmmakers, but you kind of already answered a lot of that.
Well, I would still say just do whatever you can. If you can make a film, make a film. Even if it's look what we can do with these things. It's like a computer, and it's got all these things, and it's got a great camera, and it's got a video camera in it. Oh yeah, and it's got a shitty little phone too. But
yeah.
We are in a place where the technology is evening the playing field to where you don't have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get, to have the ability to tell a story in pictures or to edit them. You can do it, quite economically. It may not be the quality that you want. Blood Lake was not the quality that we wanted. I mean, there was nothing, by any means. But it was a means to an end. And that's where, don't try to make, don't try to make Blade Runner. Don't try to make, some great, huge, ambitious thing. Think in terms of what you can do. What's a simple story? What I think producers are looking for are unique visions with people who can tell an interesting story with interesting characters. And so if you can do that and do it in a short format that's like in a bite-size, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. That's if you can get someone's interest quickly and have a twist of some sort that's clever, that's not been, people haven't seen before, I think that's going to, that's going to take you a long way. It's going to be a good calling card. I think everybody has a good story in them.
Man, that is literally what the guys in Saw did on the first Saw movie.
Yeah, but again, it's the means to an end. It's find something that you're passionate about and do it. And it may not be filmmaking. It could be something else. Some other dream. But take the steps towards that. Don't just resign yourself to working at Target, unless that's what you really want to do all your life, You
got me. There it is.
But, if that's what you do, fine. But if there are other things in life that you want, I try to beat this drum to everybody I know of grabbing life, grasping life and wrestle it, because we just got these little shots, these opportunities, and it's we have a finite amount of time to do whatever we're going to do in this life, and so don't waste it. Just go out and do and enjoy it, and be grateful for it, and be grateful for the struggles. I got divorced coming along almost 13 years ago, and that was, it was hard. It was really hard, because I'd been with her. We moved out together. Sean and I were together for 20 years, and it was really, really hard emotionally on me. But I didn't let that defeat me. I ended up taking that and using it as fuel. And so all this artwork that you see and on my website and everything came out of all of that. It was, you find you have to express these feelings and these, all these emotions and stuff in ways. And so, when I found myself alone, I didn't want to just sit and watch television, and I didn't want to drink myself into a stupor, so I did art. I went back to my roots in high school of creating. And then that actually led to the poetry that I write and the music that I play. And so what you find is you can take even the struggles, even the pain, the disappointments that you've had in life, the things that you would think have knocked you down, but turn that around and actually use it as fuel to push you forward. If you look at some of the greatest people that's ever lived, the ones who've created the most amazing things, I think if you look back in their life, there was some extraordinary pain or some struggle that they had to go through. And it's that act of struggle and overcoming the struggle that, created the momentum for them to do the great works that they do. So wherever anybody is, wherever they are, and they think, I can't do it because they can write the list. I can't because this. I say you can because of this, because that gives you a unique vision. Use it. Use it. Don't let it. Don't let it be the barrier. Let it be the strength. It's all up here. It's all how you view it, how you decide, how you want to, live your life, how you want to, the decisions you want to make. It's easy to say, it's easier to just sit on the couch and watch TV. Because it really is easy. I like doing that, but
That's one of my favorite
but
things.
I find myself like that voice that I was telling you about. Get up, get up. Go play the piano. Go play your guitar. Write. Do something, because that's really where I get the most joy, is in creating, whatever it is. Even if it's cooking a meal, it's just fun. Creating something out of nothing is. It's a really beautiful experience. Again, I don't want to get into spirituality and stuff, but because I don't know the truth. I'm still searching for it, but I do know that the act of creation brings me closer to whatever it is. Whatever that is, whatever, all the religions and everything has been trying to explain and study. I just know that the act of creation brings me closer to whatever that answer is. And so I keep doing it. And it brings me such joy and such peace. And yeah, I have my dreams and aspirations. But what I really want to do is just create stuff that hopefully people will enjoy and that will stick around long after I'm gone. And so even, something that I still consider kind of a shitty little movie, my shitty little movie, Blood Lake, it's still, I realize it brings joy, it brings, happiness, humor, whatever, to a lot of people. And I went, okay, good. I succeeded. It didn't, it satisfies me in that I learned so much, which propelled me to do what I do and what I'm going to do. I mean, I still have to take it back to that, that moment of going, of having 2 hours sleep and getting up and going, wow, I really love this. Otherwise, I'd hate it.
Yeah.
It's hard. Filmmaking's hard. Doing the sound work that I do is hard. I've had the past week off. I just spent 6 months on a show called Queen Sugar, which I love. It's a beautiful show on OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network. And I'm about to start Legion. I start Legion a week from today, next Monday. And that's so much fun. But they're hard. They take a lot of time and they take a lot of creative effort. And, and it's still working on other people's dreams. And I would love to finally get at that point where I'm just, trying to realize my own. If I had the money to quit everything and just work on my stuff, I would. But I'm not there yet. So I pour everything I can into that work, because that's just who I am. I'm not going to half-ass anything. And it just takes, it takes a lot of energy. But at the same time, it's still, I still think the more you put in, the more effort you put into anything, it really is putting into you, because you're building these habits, you're building these work habits, you're channeling the creative flow into you. And the more you pull that in and push it back out, take the idea into the brain and then bring it into the physical by actually doing the work that makes it's no longer an idea, it's something real. And you keep doing that, the more that little engine just keeps, okay, here it is. It comes in, it goes out. It comes in, it goes out. The more you do that and build that habit, the more it's going to happen. That's what And that's, I mean, I've done a lot of artwork, and I've written a lot of songs, and that's my answer to that. That's why, is that because I just keep doing it. Every time I finish a song, a new one comes in, or more. You know, it's like I almost have an assembly line that some of them become ripe. You know, I call it being ripe. They're ready to be born. They're ready to be, you know, the words come, the music's come, and you do it and you write it, you get the gist of it, and you go, okay, that's done. And then suddenly, boom, the next priority comes in. You know, and so I encourage other creators out there, people who want to create, who want to, you know, and whatever it is, even if it's fashion design or whatever, just do it and keep doing it. And when it gets hard, just keep doing it. I mean, 'cause
Yeah.
it's going to get, things do get hard, but it's the passion is what pushes you through, and it really is what tests you. And I call it, you know, the war stories. You know, those times when you're in high stress situations, and you don't know, you know, a problem comes up and that you don't know the answer to, but you've done it enough times on other things that you go, I don't know, I'll figure it out, because you've been there before. You know, but unless you've been there before a number of times, you don't build that confidence. So you have to keep pushing yourself and getting yourself into those situations that it builds on that. In my line of work, I've done it for so many years now, and it's kind of a funny thing. I look forward to the problems. I look forward to things going wrong occasionally. Not everything. I mean, I like things when they're going smooth, but when something goes wrong, when you're presented with a problem you've never faced before, it's a challenge. And I love when I get to those things where I go, huh, never seen that before.
Yeah.
Wonder how we're going to fix that. But I know we're going to fix it. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. And that's where the fun is, you know, because then you do it, you figure it out, you go, high five, wow, we did it, you know. It's fun, because if it's the same thing over and over again, that you're just tab A into slot B or whatever, you know, it becomes routine, and then it's not as challenging, and it's not as much fun. So tell everybody, go get yourself in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
It's where you learn.
Yeah. So, in all this conversation, buddy, we forgot to ask about one of the most important things in Blood Lake.
Did we?
The water skiing.
Oh, man.
It just dawned upon me that there is a pretty large water skiing portion of Blood Lake.
And man, Doug wanted to just exploit that to the end, because 82
Did you guys have like some sort of sponsorship or anything?
What?
Were you guys advertising water skis or something there?
No, it's like a music video that's in the middle of the thing that could eat time. That's
my favorite part.
It was filler. It was, God, can we get anything more out of this?
It's so great because they come back in from water skiing, and you're like, oh, it's over. They're done with it, and then they're, all right, we're going back out, and then the song starts up again, and then
we got more music. Let's do it again. I'm going to tell you a couple of funny stories about that. First of all, the shot where Becky comes up, the character of Becky, Angela, that was her first time up ever. She had never skied before, and we captured it. Okay.
It's immortalized.
Yes.
Immortalized. Now, Blood Lake nearly died there in that in that sequence before it ever really got started. When we started that sequence, it was Doug and Mike, who played Brian. I'm trying to remember these names. It's been a while. But they're behind the boat, right, in the water, kind of bobbing, and you got, so you got them in the shot, right? And so the shot is, the boat, hit it, the boat accelerates, and they pop out of the water and they start skiing. Okay. So I had this tripod in the boat, and we got to do the test. We got to do a test because I've got to figure out, because I know that when they hit it, the boat drops, and so I've got to be able to get the camera to where it's not just going whoop, and then you're just shooting. You're either going to shoot the sky or you're going to shoot, the water or whatever. But how to get it where when the boat's at full speed, the camera is locked on them, and so got the tripod in there, and we did a few little. Let's just move let's just start the boat and go out. And like, yeah, okay, and I'm standing there on the boat, and I've got the camera, and it's like, okay. I think the way I had it is I had a, because the way I like to shoot was hand on for the focus, and then I had an arm with a zoom control back here, and then I could, it was like all kind of one machine, where I could focus, and then I could zoom back here on the remote.
Yeah.
And I can adjust the height and everything. So I'm looking through the viewfinder, and I go, okay, I'm ready. Hit it! Vroom! And the camera and me go, whoo! Okay. Vroom! So Doug's in the water, right? Behind the boat in the skis. And he's renting all this equipment. And all he sees is, hit it, and the water goes into his face. And then I'm yelling, cut it, cut it, cut it. And so he goes kind of almost underwater, and then he comes back up. Where's Tim? Where's the camera? Oh, fuck! It's at the bottom of the lake. He thought that we had just tumbled into the lake, and it was gone. That was his fear. And then I climb up, and he sees me, and it's like, his heart had skipped a beat. But when that went over, I understood what was happening, and I actually twisted and had it. I cradled it. I cradled the camera. I hit my back against the floor and everything, but I made sure that everything was safe, that it didn't hit anything hard. I got a few bruises out of it, but we nearly lost. I mean, that would have been the end of everything.
Yeah. The water skiing almost cost you everything.
Water skiing almost cost us everything. And so I then had to get people into the boat to help me secure the tripod. It was hard. You couldn't just tape it down or rope it down or secure it. So we had to get the camera into a position to where, and I would sit and hold the tripod legs down until the boat was up to speed, and then I would stand up and could operate the camera. But again, it's all those little things that you learn from, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole, the amount of time on that was just.
Yeah.
Doug's going, we got to get. Is there any more footage we can do?
Yeah.
It's like, I wanted to compress it. You wanted to expand it.
Yeah.
But it's, if it was would you be asking these questions if it had been a tighter show? Would it have been as good or been as bad? So, I don't know. It is what it is. It turned out how it turned out.
And then we return to Blood Lake later.
Yeah.
And there's the act of God, and no one's water skiing anymore.
Nope. No, and we planned that. We actually, that was our main special effect that we planned the whole time, and yeah. I said we shot late August, and then a little bit in weekend September, and finished in early October. And I think it was in November. It was like 3 weeks or so, 3 or 4 weeks after we'd finished. No, it had to be later than that, because I don't think there's any leaves. I think it had to be dead of winter. It may have been several months, now that I think about it.
I don't think there are any leaves. Like, all the trees are dead and shit.
Yeah. It had to be dead of winter. It may have been January, February at that point. Some seismic thing happened. An earthquake or whatever happened, and it ripped a hole under the dam, and all the water went out. And Doug called me and said, "Did you hear what happened?" Blah, blah, blah. And we were actually trying to get out there, but we didn't own any equipment, and we had to, I think I had to borrow some equipment, because I had just gotten a new job at Oklahoma City Community College in their media department. It was my first real video job, finally. And we went out there. We were hoping that we could get out there in time to get the actual whirlpools. There was a whirlpool of it, the water. It was like the drain.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But it took about 3 days, I think, for the water to drain, and we couldn't get out there for about a week or so. So we came up with this brilliant idea to do the coda, and so we got Tiny Frazier and went out there and shot all that stuff, and it was just, how could you pass up?
Yeah.
A seemingly multi-million-dollar special effects. It just seemed like, thank you, God. It was it just made it something different.
It's wild. It's definitely wild.
Yeah.
There's 1 minute he's...
If the rest of the movie is shit, at least we give them that.
Yeah.
To have them scratching their heads. So
that was definitely a head scratcher. The first time I think the first time you watched it too, you're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
His stab wounds evaporate too.
There's no more lake. He was not in the they went back to see if he was in that little cabin. He was not in there.
Right.
But the next shot is him coming out of there, and there's no more lake and everything. It was just it was
we had it
insanity.
superposed through the door. He was in the nether world.
So is he a supernatural killer the entire time? Is this stuff we have to find out in Blood Lake too?
Yeah, that's going to be in the sequel.
Yeah.
And what's up with the thing, the
little
face thing that's in the house? Well, that.
Yeah,
did you do the sound effects for that?
That was actually in the house. That little thing, you pull the chain and it laughs.
That thing's
and when I
extremely
saw that,
creepy.
I went, "Oh fuck!
Yeah.
I gotta make a meal out of this."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just one of those weird things that we discovered in the house.
Who would put that in their house?
I don't know. A supernatural killer being.
Yeah, it's there was. We're talking about Oklahoma and the Bible Belt, and a lot of, there's a lot of fear and stuff from certain segments of the population and around there, but there was a lot of people who claimed that Blood Lake was something satanic, and that's why we caused the lake to rupture.
Oh, so it was an act of Satan.
So I heard that little rumor. I actually went out, when we shot the video, I took a lot of still shots and then sent it to Weekly World News, and actually got, the newspaper, the grocery stand thing that
Yeah.
had like alien, alien boy stuff,
Yeah.
and all the really bizarre made up, stories and everything. Yeah, I had got published in that with Blood Lake. But they
That's
wrote the
incredible.
story. My wife and I wrote a story, wrote the truth about it, and they said, "Oh no, we can come up with something better than that." And so they added all kinds of bizarre, super possible supernatural, um, things that could have happened. But at least, yeah, that was I think I got paid like $25 for my photos, so that was the
hell
only
yeah.
There you go.
paid.
Going places.
Yeah. I got pizza and beer for.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I think that's about all the time we have
Yeah.
for this. Where can people see your artwork and listen to your music when it comes out, and just anything else you want to like plug before we ride off into the sunset here?
Okay, Stone Cold.
The music is still a work in progress, and that will. I mean, we're still just because the way the whole music industry is in flux right now. I'm trying to be very careful and not let anything out until we're ready. And when I say we, it's my brother Larry and I, who I'm moving out here at the end of the month. He's still back in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, our hometown, and I have been flying back every chance I get to record with him. And he's actually come out here and spent 2 months at the beginning when we started writing. But he's now going to move out and live here in my house, and we're setting this room up that I'm in right now into a recording studio, and we're just going to keep recording, and I think people are going to I think they're going to enjoy it even more than Blood Lake, believe it or not.
Oh.
Bold claims.
Lofty goal.
If anybody's interested in the artwork, I have a website. It's zenartistla.com. ZENARTISTLA.com. And if you go to that site, the first stuff up is from an art show. It was like featuring stuff from an art show that I did a few years back, and I haven't. It's expensive to go in and rework websites, I've discovered. So I said, okay, well, until I can start really making money on the art, I'm not going to mess with it too much. But if you go to the top right, I think it says for previous works or whatever, click on this. But it's at the top right part of the screen. Go to that. That's where you're going to see like the stuff that's behind me. You're going to see the bulk of everything. And I do a lot of photography. If someone can find their way to my Facebook page, I've got lots and lots of art and photography. I stay busy. The greatest thing in the world was when they came out with these things and they had cameras. 'Cause otherwise, I was carrying my Nikon with me everywhere. And I still love shooting with my Nikon, but you can do amazing things with these. And it's instant. I don't have to go, damn, I wish I brought my camera. It's just there. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Do. The other great thing about these is like the voice recorder.
Yeah.
See this? I've got. I don't know if you can see this. You can't. No,
No,
it's too bright.
that's just a big...
It's far too bright, but that's okay.
It is filled and filled and filled with me recording stuff. Songs, ideas, everything. Same thing with the notes. There's the notes thing on here. Write.
God, I just need to start saying
even if you don't
my
have a
ideas
pen
and
and
the
paper,
things
if
instead
you
of
got
writing them down.
got this, you can you can do just about anything. You can at least keep the notes. Ideas don't have to just flutter away. And so
just as long as you don't lose your phone like Kirk Hammett when he was like, oh yeah, I wrote a whole album and then he like lost his phone on the farm or something.
I've never even heard that story.
This newest album,
Wow.
It was like this newest, because he's not credited for writing on anything, because he's like, yeah, I had all my riffs on my phone and I lost my phone.
He's joking. He's joking.
Yeah, it happens, but that's why you back stuff up. I lost about 6 months worth of notes this year, because they went into the trash somehow or other. They got put into the trash, and after 30 days, it just automatically trashes it. And so I've been real paranoid, and I keep checking it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's again, I know I sound like a broken record, but just people out there, just keep creating.
Yeah.
Just keep doing. Everybody's got to have something to say, have a voice, have a vision. Everyone's special. They are. Everyone's got something.
Yeah.
They need to go after it, and that you do it by doing. You get there by doing. So go do.
Yes. All right, Tim, it was a pleasure talking to you. I'd love to catch up with you a little bit when the music comes out.
And when Blood Lake 2 comes out.
When Blood Lake 2.
Since I am an avid photographer, I want to take a picture of this because I love that Frankenstein is right there centered behind you.
Oh, and Dracula's back there too. I might be blocking it.
Oh, yeah. Bella.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys spot your feed is a little bit behind me, so there you go. So just stay right there. I'm going to do it like this. Now I'm going to do it like this.
I'm blocking.
This will be my Facebook page. That's cool. All right. Oh, let me do it like this. Oh, now we're going to get...
We're getting all the angles.
Yeah. Hopefully there's something usable there.
I'll make something usable. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
All right,
hey,
man.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for getting a hold. I tell people, out here, I'm just a working stiff. I just, I really am. I just, so I'm not used to being interviewed. It's fun. I'd like to actually be able to produce some really nice things that more people would like to talk to me about it. But until I earn that, these are rare little treats. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for doing this for us.
Yeah, thank you. It was great talking to you.
Yeah.
You bet. Stay in touch.
Yep, we will, for sure. All right, so everyone, thank you for listening to the show. Go check out zenartistla.com. Hit Tim up on social media. Check out his artwork. And this is Buddy the Bruiser signing off.
And Dynamite Jared signing off. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll be in touch.
All right.